Cello. How's the lighting? All right. It's different when I don't have that light coming from outside. Okay. A little different. You know, this is a one-man show here. All right, that's as good as I can get. How's everybody doing? How's nobody doing? I have nobody in here. I just wanted to see who would come in here and hang out with me for a minute. Going live. I did the video earlier. Touching up on a couple topics. To finish up with a Colombo, my introduction to the Colombo crime family, and all of that stuff that went on, and that ran its course, and then I touched up upon the cheaters and mistresses and things like that, and a guy that actually cheated with a crew member's wife. I don't know what happened to him. He went for a long walk. So I'm bored. I want to do something, and that's all I can do right now. If somebody wanted to come in here and hang out with me. So during that time of my introduction, part one, my introduction to the Colombo crime family, the part one, during that whole time, you would see people. I've always been aware and observant of my surroundings, always, even before I took that job, always. And you started like I'd have to go to the store and bring something back to the office, and you would see somebody in a car sitting there, and you notice, and 99.9% of the time, it's just people that just happen to be sitting in a car. But then you might be going to the racetrack or OTB or somewhere else, and you look 3 car spaces back, 3 rows back, and there's a guy. So you start being observant and notice in the peripheral, in your surroundings, there's eyes on you, and who could be members of the they watch each other too. The crime families surveil other people in their family also. It happens, but it could be FBI, which is always good at staking people out and locations and getting license plate numbers. That's their favorite thing to do, and run these plates to identify who these people are. That's like their go-to move. They used to do it at the office building, and I was close with an agent, Steph, and there was just normal businessmen going around there taking their plates, but they just wanted to see who in that, close that particular area was parking in those parking spots designated for that spot of that office complex. So while I was doing all those, that part 1, part 2, and part 3, there's always seemed like, and even when I went to the falls, now I'm not privileged to information. I'm just a little runner boy, go get some bread and milk I'm a little runner boy, little drummer boy, Christmas time. And I had the least amount of information about anything known to mankind. I could see things and assume things and guess on things, but there's always eyes. And I notice because I became hyper aware of when I started going to these places. When I started going to these places, I started being really aware of everything, any every minute, every place, at all times. What's moving around me, who's where, and these guys, they would be sitting in cars, and of course I wouldn't walk up closer, but I could see from afar, and then be somewhere else 4 miles away, and look and see that car kitty corner somewhere else. So they saw, good evening, Vic. I think what they were trying to do is they knew I was mobile, moving around, and they would just surveil and see where I was going, uh, and who else I might be commiserating with, and you know, taking their license plate numbers and all that bullshit. But you know, I look at things from all angles. I mean, the taxpayers' money, the FBI, and their whatever. That I mean, they wasted so much money on these investigations, and for what? Racketeering, which is legal today. Legal today. And these casinos and the lottery and all that ruins people more than when the mafia. See, now it's open to the whole public to go to the store and gamble on lotto and numbers and all that. But you think in retrospect, all the money they blew on bullshit investigations, and like I am a nobody guy, and there's 2 agents surveilling me around wherever the hell I go, and it wasn't 100%, or maybe I know there was another time when I was being surveilled and watched by a rogue, or 1 or 2 bad crew members in there that were trying to get a beat on me, and they were just for at any given time, well, let's go follow that JoJo around and see what's but yeah, they maybe Sam the boss might have said, yeah, go see, but we were close, but you could only get so close, so they might say, go see what that JoJo's up to. We got some free time, blah, 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 whatever. Go see who he's hanging out with. Go see. They want to know who your lady is, who your friend is, who are you going to be talking to later on. And you could tell them the truth. And yeah, they won. You could tell them the truth, but they still might not believe you. And they just want to see, like, on the weekend, Friday or Saturday, well, let's go see, hey, go check, well, I'm going to be at the racetrack. I'm going to be gambling. That's where I'm going to be. But it's so close knit that you want to know who everybody, even little old me, who they're rubbing elbows with, where they're going, and everything else. And it went on, and I would see a couple of the same people if I was going to the store from the office, because they always knew, well, they knew where I lived, but they always knew the starting point to surveil me would be, I'm going to work every day at the office trying to sell steel. So they knew that was the starting point. And that was a big business complex. And they would piggyback me during that time of my, when I initially started getting involved with them people and them cast of characters. They were floating around, and I would tell Stephanie, I see these people around. I mean, hello, Stephanie. What? I mean, geez, do you want to know when I took a shit this morning or what? It's getting old. I mean, I'm at the grocery store or whatever. I mean, geez, you already know my information. I'm nobody. I mean, come on. You wasting taxpayers' money on bullshit? I don't know. But I wanted to just do a little add-on. There's no title for this. People come in here and watch it, they watch it. But there was just a sense of cars. And I know Sam the boss had a guy watching me. He would act like he was a gambler at the track, and he'd have the racing form. And every time I'd look over at him, he'd look at the form. It's, and I'd be like, look at this clown over here. He's watching me. And he knows that I know he's watching me. And he's still hanging in there trying to play it off. And sometimes I was tight with the boss, Sam. I'd say, Sam, what the, you want to see how I roll? But I was usually alone or with just one local friend that was an innocent dude that didn't have anything to do with anything. He was just a good old friend of mine, gambling friend of mine. And they asked me who he was. Tom P. Tom, if you ever watch this, Tom P. And I'd just say, yeah, he's just a regular guy. He's nobody and everything. I don't tell him nothing. He only knows Mike as being the steel guy and maybe a half a bookie. But he was a big bookie. But so them shenanigans were going on, my dear friends. Good to see you, Victor. And I was bored and I wanted to just do this video in the evening. I never do these. So there's everybody's watching everybody when it comes to that. Even little old me that is a nobody. You got the FBI and Sam, the Colombo family, still wondering what little old JoJo's doing. But they knew I was sharp. And maybe they couldn't figure me out. Or I don't know what their thinking thoughts were, but I could guess at what this kind of stuff. But in the back of their minds, I still think, Sam might have thought that, but like I said before, I think Sam had interactions with the FBI. And I believe he had interactions with the FBI because it was made known that I was close to Steph, and it was like he already knew. Well, how would you already know I was with the FBI agent and then not get pissed off about it? He knew that I didn't have any incriminating information. So, I mean, I couldn't say, well, on this day, Tony did this to somebody else. And no, I couldn't. I was never in a position to be aware of a crime. Maybe after the fact or just here, by accident or half on purpose, you would figure things out. And Nobody ever really said to me when they were changing the regime in Niagara Falls, nobody ever came to me and said, well, hey, Jojo, come here. Yeah, let's have a cup of coffee, right? And, this guy came and, we set him. We did this and that. And why would they share that with me? No. I could never be totally, and I wouldn't say it here. I wouldn't tell it on YouTube if I did, but I didn't have any information. Just afterwards, the stuff I could be telling you might be second account, third account. It might be false. Could be false. Something could have went down a different way. I mean, I do know that crew disappeared, but I don't know in what fashion. I would guess they're in the Niagara River. If a thinking person had to guess, they're in the Niagara River. And, I went down there a couple times to see if there was anything in the water, but it's a river. You can't go in there. You'll go over the falls. There's a shoe floating near the thing there. I don't know. Is there? You're not retrieving a body out of the Niagara River, no, which flows to Niagara Falls. So you can't consider a person dead, more or less, in the investigative arenas unless there's a body. You can't be declared murdered because you could just go somewhere and get lost and just lead a different life, but they disappeared. They never were heard from before. You could only assume that they got hit, but there's no body, and they just say no body, no crime. In the legal system, well, that makes sense. You can't be convicted of murder unless there's some concrete, a body, or number one, a dead body. And what the legal system did years later is they tried to gather so much circumstantial evidence that they could actually prosecute and convict a person on murder based on a lot of circumstantial evidence. And that's they could have made the right move and got the right person for that, but you got to follow the rules of evidence. You got to follow the judicial, foundation, the foundation base of the legalities of this kind of stuff. Number one, no matter my opinion is you can have so much circumstantial evidence, but you can't prosecute for a murder. You've got to have a body for murder. Maybe people might disagree and say, oh, come on, it's a no-brainer. There's so much circumstantial evidence that it's a no-brainer. The guy did the murder and they chopped the body up. You're not going to have a body. So everybody could just chop a body, but no, not everybody chops bodies up or throws them in the Niagara River. Because what if there was somebody convicted on circumstantial evidence and they were innocent? It just looked like they might have killed somebody that is missing. And what if they're actually innocent? So based on that alone, you got to throw out any type of thing, any type of prosecution that is circumstantial, because you're going to falsely accuse and convict innocent people. Therefore, you have to eliminate prosecution and convictions of a murder case based on that. That's my opinion. So them bodies disappeared, and that crew disappeared and all of that stuff. But I noticed these people riding around, floating around, watching. And I remember one day uh, I got pissed off because I was younger, excuse me, and I was more ballsy. And there's this Mama Luke creep that I wanted to go spit in his face, but I didn't know if it was FBI or not. But I thought it was a Sam, the boss crony. And you're wondering who these guys are. There's somebody watching me that's gonna come hit me? Or is there somebody that's gonna try to hit me? But of course they wouldn't let you see them. When they hit you, you don't see them. But I was still paranoid. And I went up there and I went right back to the thing, and they're like, "Oh, you can't go back there, Jojo. Sam doesn't want get lost." And I went in there and I said, "Who are these?" And he goes, "Well, this is what the one guy looks like." And I went, "Yeah, get lost. You need to trust." You see how even in the movies where like the Bronx Tale, even when that kid thought he was close to Sonny, how Sonny didn't trust him, and then, Sam, it's just like, geez, you can't, you think you're close to somebody and you can't. It's like, gosh, Sam, what the hell? These guys do nothing better to do. There's nothing better to do. I know maybe, they want to get a good feeling for me, and they didn't know me from Adam before I went there. I understand that. But they knew who my godfather was in Brooklyn. And if he vouched for me, my godfather, who was involved with the Colombos crime family. So if he says Jojo, then that's automatic golden word. So, and it finally stopped. It finally stopped. And of course, I was hanging out with Steph, and it was just like, Sam wants you surveilled. Steph wants you surveilled. Are they together? Is Sam the boss of Niagara Falls and Steph, my friend from the FBI? Are they in cahoots? I'm saying yes. Who's from the FBI watching me, and then maybe she's just saying, Sam, have one of your guys watch Jojo in tandem, and the faces change, and then it stopped. Because who the hell wants to be surveilled by strangers? They know I've made them. I've seen them. They're exposed, and they know that I know. And then they still do it. That's a flagrant foul. So a flagrant foul means then how dirty are you going to play? You going to play dirty ball or what? So that was going on in the mix of that introduction to the part 1, part 2, and everything else like that. Excuse me. And it made me a little crazy. And it's such a state of paranoia, and that it's just information gathering, information. People, what are they doing? Who are they hanging with? They're just gathering data, gathering. And their favorite thing was to take people's license plates all the time. Yeah. Steph asked me a few times, what about that? Who are these? I says, you don't know by now? Well, I don't want to run them and waste my time running them. You got nothing better to do, Steph, than run plates out of a business complex? You're making $75,000, $100,000 a year. For what? Investigating people, gangsters you're already in bed with. So you'll let a boss go just to get some cronies underneath? You're already dealing with dirty hands. And I don't like to say it, but the FBI was just as much corrupt in how they pitted people together or against each other. And they tried real cute moves that got people killed. Dirty pool. So I want to do an evening show, and I hope everybody's going to have a good holiday. You're enjoying your week. It's the holiday season. Fa la 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 la, and everything else. And I was bored. So that's it, my folks. Thanks, Vic. I got one person to come in here. Yeah, Buffalo won 20-12. So, excuse me. I drink coffee and then I burp right on video. What a slob. Forgive me, my dear friends and great people. So, God bless y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.